Hello, my fellow renegades. Welcome back. We are here. We have the Renegade Society radio show coming at you. I got a really awesome guest today that just gives me like lots of warm fuzzies from her streams. We're going to get to that in a second. But before we get into that, I wanted to let you all know about some very exciting stuff that's coming up in the world of Renegade. So we do have the game of Victorian Mad Science, which is becoming a little more real every day that we go along. You can sign up to be notified when the My Father's Work Kickstarter goes live in just 2 weeks. I cannot believe it. I'm so ready for this game. So definitely make sure you get on that because you're not going to want to miss that Kickstarter. I know I don't want to miss that Kickstarter. So yes. We also have Hadrian's Wall, which is a new crunchy flip and write that is designed by Bobby Hill, and it's now available for pre-order in the US from Renegade Game Studios. So definitely check that out. Actually, I was checking that earlier too, and I think there's only like a few copies left on our site. So if you want it, like go now. But you can leave us open in another window. You don't have to leave us, but you know what I mean. And we're also giving away a copy of Gudetama today, which if you don't know about Gudetama, you need to know about this game. It is one of my favorite games. I don't know, it might be like one of my favorite games ever, actually. I don't know, that's a very bold claim, but it's really, really fun. It's a trick-taking game where the object is to be the laziest egg ever, like Gudetama, and I will be giving you a code word for that later in the show. So keep your eyes in the chat, and Desiree will be providing a link where you can enter that code word. All right, friends. Also, if you have questions for my guest, don't forget to put them in chat. My guest today is Monique. Hello, Monique.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I know. I feel like I need to come on. Like we haven't like said hello. How are you today?
Right. We did that, but yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm so ready to like chat, and I was actually watching some of your stream earlier today, and it is so much fun. I loved it so much. The energy was like, I had it on in the background while I was doing some work, and I was like, this is infectious. Like I was like, I actually have to leave because like I am getting distracted because I just wanted to watch it so much.
We had such a great time this morning. My guest was Emma Larkins, who designed A Ben and All Artichokes. And we're both really big fans of the designer Tate Wu, who did Cat Sudoku and Macaron, which is just finished. So we're really big fans of their games. And so we're like, oh, I love that game. Me too. And it's like, let's play on the stream. And then it was just like, because I really, really enjoy Emma as a person. And then getting to talk about her games and just have fun with her. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I love having my guests up.
It was definitely really, really fun to watch. So yeah, I definitely got that. And there was just like such good like energy. Like the energy was like infectious. I was like, I'm having so much fun. And everyone in the chat is also just so lovely. Like all the people that are in the streams. Like if you're watching this and you haven't seen Monique's streams yet, you need to go over GameFreakGeekGirl and check it out because yeah, everyone in there is great. It's like a little party every time, I think.
I think that is just the board game community on Twitch as a whole. It's just so really phenomenal that way.
Yeah, so true. And especially like I noticed a lot of people too that are fellow renegades. So it's always nice when I see other renegades in the stream. And we also have a really great community at Renegade and in terms of everybody that plays the games and that is involved. So that's always awesome too. When you're like, oh my gosh, like I know everyone. This is so nice.
Yeah. I'm like trying not to pay too much attention to the chat so you can just like hang out and everything. But it's just like, I think that's the nice part about being on Twitch is like the community engagement is just there. It's really there compared to like some of the other platforms where it can be just different. And like Twitch is what I've done the most of. Like there's definitely other ways to engage in different other streaming platforms, but Twitch has just been at this for a minute. And so they have like a really unique kind of experience where it feels like, especially with the channel points and things like that, like my chat can have me sing. So at any given point, I just sing everything like that I'm talking about anyway. So it's just like for like 5 minutes, it's probably far too long, but like it becomes like a Disney musical or like something on the chat, which is so fun. But I don't think I could get that experience anywhere else. So having it having that available as a way to kind of play with the audience, like back and forth, is so much fun.
Yeah, it is. And I agree. I think Twitch is one of the best for really creating that interactive experience, and not just creating it, but like actually fostering it and encouraging it with viewers. So like it does it in a way that's like really fun for everybody involved. And it's something that like a while ago, like I wasn't even on Twitch. I was like, I don't even know what's going on over there. And lately I've just been finding like more and more I've been getting on it, because I'm just finding so many people that are so, I never thought I would go on Twitch and be like, I'm going to watch someone, like play a game or like do a thing. Or just chat or whatever. You never think like, oh, that'll be fun watching someone else have an experience. And then you do it and you're like, oh no, because like I'm also like I'm also involved in this experience. Yeah. So that's the cool thing. So before we jump into it, tell me a little bit more about, and all of our viewers, about who you are, what you do, and where we can find both you and your work online. Speaking of Twitch.
Yes. So my name is Monique. And I love board games. I love story-driven video games. I like books, and I like to sing and karaoke and have fun. So I do all those things on Twitch. Mostly like talking about the board games. I'm going to start playing some more RPGs pretty soon here, which I'm really, really excited about. So those are things that I do on my channel, and I am GameFreakGeekGirl on Twitch. You can follow me there. I am also GameFreakGeek on Twitter, where I just talk about board games and general silliness and have a lot of fun. So that's what I do. Then you'll see me around kind of, I guessed a lot on a lot of different streams. So I just kind of pop up everywhere.
Yeah, I feel like I've definitely seen you on a few different streams. I feel like I've seen you on Charity Board Gamer, and I feel like I've also seen you on Ruel's stream before.
I haven't been on the stream.
Really?
We did play together. We played Succulents with Victor and Sarah on the Renegade stream.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of then. Yeah. Well, you should definitely be on Ruel's stream. You should. I'm going to talk to him and be like, yeah, when are you having Monique on so I can watch you play games?
Right? Because, actually, yeah, we'll figure something out. Like, it's like he's so magnificent and in demand, so we'll figure something out. But
yes, eventually I want to watch you both play games together, so we need to make it I
love Ruel.
He's lovely. I also love Ruel. I wonder if Ruel's watching this right now. He's probably, I feel like his ears must be burning wherever he is.
Someone take him somewhere.
Yeah, someone go get him, tell him to come in here. We're just giving him lots of love right now. So speaking of all of the board games that you play, and I mean, I feel like you play a lot too. When did this all start? When did you like play a board game and you were like, oh, this is it. This is the thing that I'm into?
Well, we traveled for 40 days across the barren desert before my people found mangaka. No, I don't like, I just have always loved games. Like, we were talking, I moved a lot. And so whenever I made a friend, it was usually that friend had computer games. They liked playing card games. They had a Nintendo or something. And I'd just be happy. I'm just that person that's just as happy watching somebody else play a game as I am playing it. It's how I fell in with StarCraft, actually. But like, it's just, it was just something I was always really drawn to. If I didn't have a book, like I just usually typically wanted to play games. And so it was, even as a kid, I remember like just like loitering around, like if the kids are like playing RPGs at the table, like, it's like, did someone just say dragons in the middle of this cafeteria? Are my people here?
I love that.
So yeah, but like in general, I grew up just playing like a lot of like classic card games, Mancala and Dominoes with my family. Like Dominoes is really, really big with my family. So played a lot of that with my dad. And that was pretty much how it really started. But for modern board gaming, I went to a party when I was in my early 20s and someone busted out Guillotine when we got bored. And I was hooked.
Oh, yeah. Wow, Guillotine. I love that. Guillotine is such a fun game. I haven't played Guillotine in like a time. And that game is it's so good. Have you also played Beastie Bar before?
No.
That game? You should check it out. If you like Guillotine, Beastie Bar is another one. It's like there's people and they're trying to get into a club and you have to like put them in a certain order, and like you're trying to like get in, and you're all animals, and all the animals have like different, I don't know, abilities and stuff. So yeah, it's really cool if you like, it's one of those got to rearrange the things games. But yeah, that's a cool one. I feel like that is one that I have yet to hear someone be like, Guillotine was my modern game that got me into it. So I think that's really awesome. And it's also a card game as well, which maybe kind of connects with that initial love.
Yeah. And it was funny because like usually when I tell that answer about what my first modern board game was, I usually think of Dead of Winter, because that was what took me from being like a casual, I'm going to buy a board game like every year or so and like play it with friends until like, and that will just be our thing. That will be like the game that we play over and over. And that's generally how it started with like Catan and Ticket to Ride. And after I was like, man, I have a lot of expansions and I want to know about some of these other games, I tried Dead of Winter. And then that one was just like, oh, floodgates.
Yeah. That one brought you in, and then you were like, oh man, I'm getting all these games each year and like more games and like what's the new thing I can play? Yeah. I don't even know what my game that did that to me is. That, but whatever it is, I feel like I don't know, it deserves some sort of divine punishment, because my shelves are now bursting because of whatever did that to me. But Dead of Winter is a great one. Yeah. Yes, it do. But yeah, Dead of Winter is a great one. And I think the cool thing about that game too is that it's got so many things. Like it's one of those games that you're like, oh, there's this that I love. Oh, but there's also this thing that I love. Oh, but there's this, and all of the characters and everything. And
who's your favorite character in Dead of Winter?
I feel like Sparky.
Yeah, right.
Like a predictable answer, but I also like Blue too in the second Dead of Winter that came out. Because that's actually the one that I have, and I also really love Blue the monkey. I think that she is also lovely. So basically the animals.
I love it. I didn't play that one, but I think like that is kind of huge though, right? I remember like the first game of Dead of Winter I played, it was just all these new mechanics and these new ways of playing that like that just made player, even though you had variable player powers, right? Like each of the individual characters, it was still, and you could have a betrayer, which when we first played, we all played co-op because we didn't trust some people in our group not to be really mean players. and so I loved that. And so it was a bigger hit for me than like the other co-op games you had played, I think were like Pandemic and Forbidden Island, which were fun. But like this one, like again, it was just like, oh, okay, we're getting together and like everybody can play games. But like when Dead of Winter hit, it was like drinking from a fire hose, because I was like, I can't get enough of whatever these other things that are happening are.
Yeah, that's the thing, just because there's so much stuff. And like I also really love, I don't have this character, but I've played with her before. Felicia Day has a limited edition like character, and her power is that Felicia Day, because she's an actress, obviously can be like any character in like a thing. So if it's like, if this character is here, if you're Felicia Day, you're like always triggering all of these things. So no matter what, like your crossroads cards are like always going off if you have Felicia Day. Because she just like is everyone because she's an actress, which I loved. Who's your favorite character, by the way?
So I mean, Sparky's dope. It like a stunt dog, like that is awesome. But
at one point he drives a truck, I think, in one of the crossroads. That's a thing that can happen. I also have the graphic novel for Sparky. That's how much I love Sparky. So
I love that. I love that so much. I think it's hard. I really like the firefighter. Just because I love this idea that they're continuing their work in this post-apocalypse world of like taking that training and going forward. And so it adds,
I love that.
There's a lot of characters that you get to play that I really enjoy that add a lot of hope to an otherwise hopeless theme of the game, because the game is just out to crush you, not in like an Arkham horror kind of way where you're just like, this is going to be a really fun descent into losing. But it really, Dead of Winter really played that edge that kept me very invested because of characters like the firefighter that's just like, I know the world is awful. We've had this terrible apocalypse happen that's destroying our humanity. And yet I still believe in taking care of what we got left. And I'm like, my people. But I think my favorite introduction to a character was going through the Crossroads deck and you meet Mike Cho.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, would it be a spoiler because the game's like been out for a while, but like,
yeah,
when Mike Cho comes in, it's just like, you know, you're pinned up against the wall, it's you and all the zombies, and then poof, there he goes, and like, it's just like this really, it was such a cinematic moment, and it felt really desperate because I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to kill this character at the end of this turn, and then this crossroad, I was like, it's probably going to end up badly if anything happens, and then that thing happens, but I had Mike and we just killed it, me and Mike together, and I was like, I am so heavily emotionally invested in that character for saving me that one time.
I love it. I love that Mike Cho like saved the day, and you were just like, Mike Cho's my man, that's it. Yeah. He's the guy.
Like I don't even remember if he spawned at that moment. I still think I may have lost that character, but just that I had a new character to replace it that was even cooler, because I think it was like the Santa or something like that. Like,
oh yeah,
it was some other character. I'm like, nothing about your character makes the world better.
Santa's going. That's just how it goes. Yeah, you basically always know. I always think it's appropriate when Santa ends up being like on the traitor team, you know, like, because that's what we're all expecting in the narrative.
Yeah,
this bad Santa.
Yeah, and it's a game that really puts out so many different variations on humanity that it's becomes less of a, I mean, at the time I was not into zombies at all, and it's still like not a huge thing for me, and so like I almost completely skipped out on Dead of Winter because I was like, zombies, everyone's doing zombies. But I'm really, really glad that I did it despite the theme, because theme or not, I was just so heavily invested in that game. It just opened up the whole world. It's great.
Yeah, and I think I'm the same way. Like, I'm not super into zombies, but Dead of Winter, that's where I'm like, zombies, yes, let us zombie now, because yeah, it's so good. I own way too much like Dead of Winter, and it's like also one of those games that is like heavy and you need to have the right people, but it's still worth it on my shelf because I'm just like, I love it so much, I can never give it up.
I still play that RPG too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a fun world, I think. And I think there's a lot of thought that's put into these characters that we get to play with. And they really do bring the game to life for people playing. Yeah. When it comes to games that you play, by the way, do you have like a favorite kind of game to play? Like, do you love, I mean, I feel like you play so many different things. So like, even if I had to guess, I wouldn't even be able to guess. Yeah. But yeah, even if there's something lately that you're just like, maybe this is like your current obsession, if you find that you're more of an everything I love, but right now I'm hooked on this.
Yeah. I think, do you ever see the movie Inside Out?
Yeah.
Right. Where they have like joy, anger, disgust, fear, sadness. Yeah. And like each of them like has like a leader, like an emotional leader of their personality. And mine in general tends to be joy. So it's just like, if I find a game that it's just not for me and I'm not enjoying it, like there are two games that kind of hit on that list that I really never want to play again. And it's not because like they're badly designed or anything. They're just really were not games for me. And that was Terraforming Mars and Blood Rage. Those are two games where it's just, I can't play those anymore. Yeah. And it like, those are games where it was just so, I enjoy the game so little that not even the people I'm playing with, I can be happy engaging with. But like, yeah. So that's like an easier question to answer. Like, what are two experiences in gaming I don't enjoy? Blood Rage and Terraforming Mars. Those are just like, I just can't do it.
Just the only ones that you're like, nah, I don't really like that.
Yeah. And it's funny because I love most games that I did a short video on this, like that kind of inspire a sense of wonder. So if like for Sentience is a Renegade game I absolutely love and I talk about it all the time, but like I love Sentient and people are like, man, it's really mathy, but for me I love it because like you have a puzzle aspect that gets me like that warm brain happiness, and then you have this incredible artwork that is so compelling to me. I'm like, I immediately want to take on the role of like whatever the syndicate that I'm running is, and then I just in my head there's a whole RPG that happens every time I program a a die, or anytime I take a bot to program for that die. So my mind will make up for a lot of gaps that happen between mechanics and theme. And so I can't even say that like I go for one or the other, because I will make up for it and it will be a fantastic party movie in my brain. And so
I love that.
If I can do that and have a really good time connecting with the people at the table, because that is the other half of gaming for me, is the mind movie, the brain happiness, and then like, and now I get to share that joy with the people at the table. And like either we're messing with each other a bit, like in Gudetama, like in Gudetama, it's really great. I don't know how much, like, it's that perfect pie, because you have the engagement with everyone. It's good at like any player number. It has the cutest artwork in the world, where it's like, you don't want to play this card because look at the egg butt, but then you absolutely want to play the card and make everybody see this beautiful little egg butt. Like, you know, so those are the things I enjoy. I enjoy having those moments and those inside, like not inside jokes, but like those intimate moments where it becomes a good joke that you can then involve other people in.
Yeah, it's basically when a game goes from being a game to becoming an experience. Like this isn't just us playing a game. This is us like making memories. This is us like having moments. And I mean, I think really that's what gaming, I mean, I guess it depends on what you get from gaming, but I personally think that's what really gaming is about, is even if it's like you're just there to like, you know, max min and like you're just all about points and like give me those sweet victory points, baby, that's still an experience for you in that way. So yeah, and Gudetama is so good for that. It is like that perfect, it just like sits on this like perfect edge of like being like a fun game where you're like really into the game and competitive about it. And then like also, but not being so intense that it's like, oh, this is all about this. So if like I lose, it's tragic. It's like, it doesn't matter because it's just, you're having so much fun because the premise of it is just so silly that it like frees you.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of like Oni Renegade games are like that, actually. I feel like there's always this like perfect balance of like what we're here to do, but then also the theme of the game, like freeing you to just have fun, which is lovely.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's like initially, like there's also just that moment. What I think I love about playing games is finding a game that I think is going to bring something out in my play partners. Like if someone tends to be a lot more shy and reserved, I'm like, so tell me what you enjoy and let's see if we can tap into that. I think that's like one of my favorite things.
I love that too. I love seeing all the different facets and sides of people that you can like bring out and explore with games, because it kind of opens up this sense of play in people that we don't normally get to in our everyday lives. We don't really normally get to be like, hey, like time to play, especially as adults, right? Because I feel like as adults, we're often told like, don't have fun. Like, yeah, if you're having fun, you're doing it wrong. You're not working hard enough, you know?
Yeah. Which I used to be a early childhood educator. And so one of the philosophies I grew into in that experience was tapping into the way that a human plays is how you open up their ability to learn. And in working with kids and then working with adults, it's really heartbreaking to see that like so many adults are either afraid to engage in board games, not because of board games, not even because the rules are hard, but because you have to get over that kind of hurdle that has shown them like throughout their adulthood, as they went from childhood to adulthood, that play is inappropriate and that there's no way that they should be that they could do that. Yeah. But like, you know, or play is for very specific kinds of people and they can't be that kind of person. And so it's like one of the reasons I love like puns so much, because like it's playing with words and playing with language in a way that most people can do in a way. Yeah. Like granted, language barriers are totally there, but it just gets people like, oh, you just made me think of baloney and now I'm so upset about it. But like, of course they're like happy because like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. And then that's all it is. It's like an introduction to thinking of looking at something in a different way. And then if you can kind of lower that barrier, make it less scary, enter the board games. And then it's phenomenal. I love watching people go like, oh, I'm not smart enough to play this game. And then they win. And then they're just like, I may have something about myself I didn't know before, and I want to play again because I think I like it. Like,
yeah, no, and discovering those Like that's the thing too, because it's like not only do you get to see the sides of people when you play different games with them, but it's like you also they get to see it. And so like in a way, it's like you get to be part of their beautiful like self-discovery journey and like come along for a ride. And then you also get to go through that at the same time. And it's like, wow, we're both learning about ourselves and we're learning about each other and like we're learning new things. And that is so cool. And I love what you said about like just even like working with kids and seeing like their willingness, and then like working with people as they get older and seeing like how that kind of like gets shut off from our brains. And I think it's so sad. And I think it also just is like you need to open up those parts of your mind, because it is what helps you in life grow and be creative. And people think of creativity almost as like a, I don't know, I guess sometimes it can be like this negative thing because it's distracting from purpose, but it's also like it's also gives you purpose at the same time. So
yeah. And I think it's in like I've had a lot of different updates and versions of Monique. So like one of them was a teacher, and so like when it came to play, like I loved being with the kids because they would just, I'm like, do you want to play a game? They're like, yes. And I'm like, my people.
You know, I'm the same way. Yeah, it's like whenever I go to a party when those were a thing, and it would be like the holidays. I have this thing actually where every year at Christmas Eve there's a holiday party that I usually go to, and I always hang out with the kids like the entire time. Like I think a year ago, like I came late. I came for like a nightcap instead. And so the kids were all gone when I got there. And it was so weird because I had to sit with the adults and like just talk about like politics and stuff. And I was just like, man, I'm not as good at this. I'm better at kids because I just want to play. And I would bring all these board games and I play games with the kids. And people were always like, do you ever want to like sit with the adults? You can do that, you know? And I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
These are my people.
I think what it is that kids don't have this idea that learning and meeting and understanding and discovering things about yourself and others is fun. Like I think they're still in that part of their cognitive and like mental emotional development that it's the fun kind of mystery.
Yeah.
Right? Granted, like this really does depend on like how their home life is and things like that. But when children are happy, healthy, safe, and have a good sense of self, getting to meet other people can be kind of a fun thing to do. Or it's just like, if like when I talk to my kids who are very fortunate to be happy, healthy, safe, secure, emotional kids, and I say like, you're going to meet someone. Like my eldest is a bit older, so they have experienced enough of their life to be like, generally they don't like meeting people, and they know that about themselves. But my youngest is like a lot more social in general, but he's also just like, he still has a lot of that curiosity, like, oh, who's that? Who are we going to meet today? Like, granted, in the before times, but like, it was exciting because, like, you know, this new person could be Santa Claus. You never know.
Yeah. And I love that apprehension combined with that wonder though. Like, and I mean, I think that's such a cool thing to tap into as an adult. And that's such a cool thing to experience like through the eyes of a child, because I love when kids are kind of like, who is this? And I don't know them, but like, but I kind of want to know like that excitement that you get. Yeah, that's so awesome. And so when it comes to gaming and doing all of this on Twitch, since you've done so many things, how long have you been doing this on Twitch, or, you know, making content? When did that start for you? How did that start for you?
Kismet, honestly. So 2019, I was going to school, and I had an opportunity to help with the demo booth for Cephalofair, and I was going to school to end up doing something in board games. That's all I knew. I just want to do something in board games. And I'm a huge, I was a huge devourer of board game media content, because those are the people I would have to talk about board games with. Whereas people in like, you know, it's hard to be an adult that loves play because I'm like, oh, I love to play. People are like, of course you do, Monique. We'll call you when we have a party. Because then it'd be great fun. But it's just like, anybody for a board game night, they're like, we're not having a party. I'm like, you could play games outside of parties.
Do it whenever you want. Yeah.
Whenever you want. So I had the opportunity to go to Pax West with Shuffle Fair, and that was absolutely life-changing. And then it was just like, okay, well, maybe I should think a little bit more about like how I want to direct getting a degree into something with board games. And I finished up this semester, and it was a very difficult time. And then I went to Pax U at the end of that semester. So I began and ended the semester with conventions. But it was my first board game convention. I had gone to PAX before, but that's a little bit of everything. But going to PAX Unplugged was huge, because then I'm like meeting all these people I've been talking to on Twitter and following their content for years. And like, I got to like, Scott Gate is like, I know I'm on the Renegade channel, but Scott Gate is like a huge person for me. Like they did like some really amazing talks about like how like their journey through board games and things like that. Huge admirer of Scott, and I got to watch that interview, and I was just like, okay, well, this is kind of a guide, so let me follow this guide. And then I got to meet them, and I wanted to thank Scott for that video, and I got to meet Sarah, and then like that was how I got to start doing demos this year with Renegade. But that was also where I met Anna Maria and Kiki from Girls Game Shelf. And so a few months later, they invited me to join them on Girls Game Shelf at the beginning of the pandemic. And that's when I started streaming on my birthday. So that was an easy way to remember the anniversary. So that's coming up in a month. It'll be a year.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Long story, but that's what it is.
No, that's not a long story at all. I love that story. That's so awesome. Well, happy early anniversary then, I will say. Are you planning on doing like an anniversary stream or anything? Do you have anything planned for it?
Yes. A little bit. I could probably do more, but like but for my birthday at least, I want to go back and replay I Love You, Colonel Sanders, because that was my first game that I streamed. I love that game so much.
I just got that game. Like, I know it's free, but I just heard about that game and got it. And because I was looking for like some cute like dating sims to play on my Twitch.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like, I need suggestions. And then people were like, oh yeah, Colonel Sanders, have you played that one? And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, it's free. Just get it.
I love dating sims.
Me too. I played one. There's a little one called Speed Dating for Ghosts.
Yes. What did you think?
Really cute. I love that one, except I didn't like that it ended. That was the only thing I didn't like, because it ended and like you basically, for those that are watching that don't know what this game is, it's you're dating ghosts in the afterlife, and you yourself are a ghost. Although you don't know what kind of ghost you are, you can just imagine your own ghost, make your own ghost in your mind. And there's ghosts from all over the place, and you go into different rooms, and different rooms have different ghosts, and they all kind of have like an archetype that they fit into each in the room. And then yeah, you date them all, and then after it's done, you get invited to hell, and then there's like a party in hell, and you also get a party with like a party demon, and it's really fun.
Oh, that's wild. See, like I streamed that for a little bit because it came in a bundle.
Yeah.
It was just like some dates where I'm like, oh God, that was really uncomfortable. Like,
oh yeah,
it's very confusing as someone who doesn't really date. I was just like, is this how things work? I'm so confused right now. Like, this is.
I mean, in the afterlife, I don't know. I think it just depends. I think it's different in the afterlife for sure. And yeah, it is definitely, there are some really awkward moments though. And there's some really like, some of them are like murder mysteries, but I also loved that element.
I liked those dates. I liked the murder mystery dates a lot.
For you to solve the things. Yeah. It's at the end, this isn't like really a spoiler, but at the end you get to go to a dance with like all of the people, and you have like a big dance party. And I just loved all these weird little ghosts. Like, they're all strange and wonderful. Yeah. And one of them, if you get on, one of them is a dog as well. I don't know if you got to that point, but one of them's like a little dog, and their owner is like a little sprite, a little wisp, because after they died, part of their owner, like it's implied, died with them. And they dedicated the game, I think, or this one part at least, to, I assume, someone's dog on the team that had passed. So it was just like really like heartbreaking to see like this little wisp that they're trying to find, and they're just explaining like, oh, that's like part of my owner, because when a dog passes or a pet passes, they're a little part of your owner gets to go with you. And I was like, oh,
I need to hug my dog.
Right? But I was like, it's also so true, because definitely any pet that I've had that's passed, I'm like, you never feel quite whole again, right? And
Yeah.
that's kind of the beauty of life, but also the tragedy of life. But yeah, well, I love that. I'm gonna have to come in for your dating sim anniversary stream. That sounds so much fun.
I do story driven video games on Mondays, and it will be like, I tend to really like mystery kind of games, but like I love finding healthy relationship dating sims like a lot. It's played there's so many where I'm like, oh, I love this artwork. Oh, these characters.
Oh, these characters. Yeah.
Oh, these
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I love when they're just really ridiculous dating sims too. Like the more ridiculous something is, the more I'm like, yeah, I want to explore this weird world. Take me there.
the Hatchiful Boyfriends, the one with the birds.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I need to do that one too. There's so many dating
that
sims.
One, that was great.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It was so great. I never actually played it. I just watched Kiki play and just fell in love. But yeah, oh man, there's so many. And Coffee Talk is what I'm playing now. And I
love Coffee Talk.
That one's really good. I love it because it's also in like my favorite place, which is Seattle, but like make it magical.
Yeah. I am so bad at serving people drinks, I feel like, but I'm trying to get better. I feel like I'm like the worst barista ever. But that's also my life as a barista before I was like online and doing stuff online all the time back when I worked at like a place that was like this was my worst skill. So every time I play Coffee Talk, I feel like I'm reliving my life as a bad barista.
Oh no. What was your experience like making the coffee?
Just like
as a person, not as a
character. Person. Yeah. We had like a proper, like all the proper equipment and everything, like all the machines. I'm just like not very good. Like I'm pretty good at steaming milk, to be honest. I'm not bad at that. But like as soon as it's like you get like anything like a chit with like a bunch of drinks and it's like you're making a bunch of lattes, it's like me as a bartender as well. Although I am a good bartender, but more as like a recreational bartender where it's like one person at a time making a drink. As soon as I get something that's like a million things, I'm like, oh dear, oh my goodness. And then I'm like, how much of this and how much of that? And everything gets all mixed up in my head. And so when people are coming in, I feel like I have little flashbacks to like, oh, and they're like, just make something for me. And I'm like, okay, yikes, based on my conversation. And I'm like, this? And they're like, oh, this is bitter. I don't like it. And I'm like, okay, oops.
Yeah, no, I've definitely made some bad drinks in Coffee Talk, but
that's great though, because I feel like it is part of the fun of the game. Like I don't make these bad drinks and then think, oh, I'm having a terrible time. I make them and I'm like, this reminds me of my life, but I also loved being a barista, even though I wasn't great at it. So I've just am like, cool opportunity to like make you a better drink next time you come in. We're gonna figure it out.
I loved being a barista, honestly, but I love to cook. Another previous lifetime job, but like I love to cook. I love to make drinks. I love to like, I never was a bartender, but like I just enjoy making. I really like it, like playing with non-alcoholic drinks as well as like alcoholic ones, because it's not about like what happens after you drink it. It's about preparing it for people who like it or who are going to like it.
The love that you put into it. And that's like the fun. And that is the fun of Coffee Talk, actually, because it's like you get to listen to these conversations and like kind of be a part of the story. And then you're also trying to, for these people that are coming into your place, like make drinks that are what they want. And that is the joy of serving people. Yeah, really, is giving them things that you're like, I think you're gonna love this, and I made it just for you.
Yay, I love it. I just like, I think this would make board game cafes so great, because it takes that feeling of like eating together and then playing together and then just being in a place where like when most board game cafes I think I've been to, I feel like I can slow down and just experience all the things I enjoy. And I love that.
And it's like everything feels very customized, I feel like, in a lot of those places. And I love experiences when I'm out in a place or when I'm shopping or any of those things where it feels like something is kind of trying to be tailor made for me, as opposed to it being like, which box do you fit in? And you're like, maybe I don't fit in any of these boxes.
And that is huge for me personally. It's I'm a mixed person. And I grew up outside of a lot of places where anyone at all looked like me, from either culture. It was always just kind of a very isolating feeling. But no matter where I went in my life, it seemed like people were constantly going, "What do we do with you? I don't know. Here's a box. Go fit in it." I'm like, yoink. Like, no, like it's this huge struggle, like always being pushed into different boxes your whole entire life and experience. But then when playing board games, RPGs, and video games, and like also in my experience acting, a lot of people think that like I enjoy these things because I like being someone other than me, but that's not it at all. Like what I experience out of gaming, like reading stories, watching movies, like exploring stories and playing them, is that I get to try and think outside of myself about how another person who had these experience would see a different situation that I would enter in with a completely different outcome. That makes sense.
No,
Yeah.
it does make sense. And I also feel like in doing that, like whenever you get to put yourself in a different perspective or kind of open up these other journeys and stories, it's like you kind of also find parts of yourself that exist in those things. And so people have this tendency to think, especially with things like acting, that it's like, oh, you're being someone else. And it's like, I'm actually kind of more taking myself apart and then finding a part of me that is this, and then finding a way for me to connect with this story, which not only gives me a better perspective on life in general, but also allows me to like explore the layers of me, because people want to put you in a box because they think, oh, you're this or you're that. But the reality is no one is this or that. Everyone's like a million things.
I think when someone hands you a box, they're trying to sum up the entirety of your experience for them to kind of quickly digest, which is not a bad thing. It's not an offensive thing. And sometimes it's just so that we can get through this interaction with a baseline understanding of how we want to interact as human beings. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what's problem is that when people just make boxes not to ease like the communication, and like if I am in a grocery or in a clothing department store and I am talking to you and I'm like, I need something in this size, do you have anything? Like you're going to have to like assess me and being like, all right, this person has a femme body and like they're asking for this thing, and like our sizes go here, but if they had a different kind of body they'd go there. Like those are boxes we kind of have to agree on.
Well, those are the boxes in our mind that help us organize information and then get to a point. So we're like, okay, this is what I know, and so this is what I'm putting together so I can find the solution, which is how our brains are wired. So yes. Yeah.
But like when we hand somebody a box and like, oh, well, you're a woman, you don't want to play games, you want to go over there and do
make a sandwich or whatever.
Whatever things that we think women in boxes do. Those don't ease interaction. What they do is they limit it, and then we stop being curious about what that other person can show us. So I think that's what's really great about games and like the kind of people that I like to play with, is that like it's just like, first just tell me your name, your pronouns, and anything I need to know to make sure that you have a safe time here at the table. And that's just generally how I like to talk to people. And granted, I've totally messed that up and I've totally been that jerk at the table many times, but with every time I never want to repeat that experience again. So it's just like, usually it's just about like slowing down enough, because there is no rush, to just take a moment and be like, screw boxes. You introduce yourself to me first and we'll build you your own space. And I think that's how we need to approach it. All right, I think that's how we can get better as gamers and open up this hobby for people who are new or maybe don't have like a lot of favorites or anything. It's just talking like we don't know anything about them and not making any assumptions. That's my soapbox box.
I like it. I love it. And I think that is so true. And I think the bottom line too is that like we're all people, we're all fallible. We're all gonna sometimes be the jerk, right? Like no one's, like the lovely, open, non-assuming person all the time in their life, because it's just not how it goes. We all fall into we all have these boxes in our head and we always want to put people in them. So it's hard. You have to like resist it. But I think what's important is when you do that, you're taking the time to think about, I didn't mean to do that. So like, now how do I fix that? Because I wasn't thinking about this thing, which you're doing. So it's like, that's what it is, man. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. And I love it.
You can't shortcut your way into knowing who someone is. So
No.
the bigger the boxes you could probably hand people, the better.
Someone should put that on something. You can't shortcut your way into knowing who someone is. That is like some wise words. I love that. Also, I love how like these are like questions that I had that we were going to get to, and I'm just like, I love how we just got here organically. This is lovely. So we're more than halfway through, so I'm going to give everybody that code word now, because I'm sure you're itching for
yes.
it. Yeah. No, it's fine. I've just been having such a lovely time talking. I literally looked down and I was like, woo, we're just having such a good time. It's great. So that code word for Gudetama, because I know you all want it. I know I can hear you wanting it. I can feel it in the air. The code word is Ghibli, because I know that Monique is a Studio Ghibli fan. So if you don't know how to spell that, it's Ghibli, but I'm sure even if you make a good attempt, Desiree will still take that, because we're not going to curse anyone for, misspelling, especially in this day and age where everything's auto-corrected. So yes.
Oh no.
Right? So
my entire Twitter timeline is just one giant autocorrect.
I love it. Also, if you have questions for Monique, just a reminder to throw those in the chat. We will be getting to those shortly. And yes, so when it comes to creating content on Twitch and online, do you have any suggestions or any words of wisdom for other people that, are looking to create and maybe are like feeling a little lost or don't know where to start? What do you suggest for people?
So I suppose like talking to myself, like I think I initially like maybe like 6 years ago, was like, man, I watched Girls Game Shelf for the first time. And I thought like, I want to do content. I want to do stuff like that. That'd be amazing. And I just never really did, but I don't think my life was ready. So just if you're not ready, don't feel bad about that. You don't have to do the things that like you think would be fun. And I think that is probably the bigger part. And again, it's like a more how we operate in society. But a lot of people, I think, kind of look at doing content creation and doing streaming and doing YouTube videos or doing anything, and they think, I have to do this and then I have to be the best at it. When really, you don't have to do it. You could just simply enjoy it and not show it to anyone. Like there's a lot of things I do that just never see the light of day because they're more about me feeling comfortable and me having fun, rather if I did it for someone else, like creating content and then like for other people to consume it, it would kind of take away the small things that I got to enjoy for myself. And it would also mean that I would be kneecapping my learning process because then I'd be trying to make it more massively consumable. And so I think this is really good advice I got from a game designer. And it comes to like when you're like they were saying, like when they design games, they keep so many of them just that no one will ever see because it's just for them to play with. And the things that they're really proud of, that they really want to take forward, those are things that they can share with the world. But also just be okay that like there's things that you do that are just going to be for you and have fun. And then there's things that you're going to be for the world. Because I think like once you start presenting yourself as a public person, immediately what I hear a lot of people saying and doing is like, my numbers, no one pays attention, I'm doing it wrong. Like start doing it right for yourself first and then see what you want to do with it. And because I think too many people, like anyone can do this, like honestly, but like I think people trick themselves into thinking that they really want to, but then when they start doing the work, they don't want to, and then they feel like a failure. But no one is a failure in doing this. It's just about letting yourself discover and explore different facets of things that you enjoy and different aspects of yourself. Find what works for you and don't feel bad if it doesn't work for you because you're not a failure. You're just someone who did something, and that's great. So that's my advice.
I love that. That's great advice. That's awesome. Everyone out there that's interested, that is good advice. Take it. Hold on to it. Cool. Man, I'm still absorbing that. I just feel like that's a lot of people talk about, just because a lot of people talk about, if you want to do something, do it. That's it. And that's also great advice because at the end of the day, so many people let themselves get hung up because they're too afraid to do it because they're like, oh, it does have to be perfect and it has to be all these things. And the reality is it doesn't. It just has to be whatever you want it to be. and whatever you feel is best.
Yeah.
But I love the advice of like, just make sure that when you're doing it, you're ready to do it. And that like in your heart and in your mind and your whole body, you're like, yes, because you don't want to do it and be like, and then be like, oh, nothing's good. And then you just judge yourself. And that's like, just not productive for you. And also I feel like when you are really
the other end of that.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like when you are really ready,
perfection.
Yeah, the perfection. I feel like when you are really ready too, it's like, that's when you'll start seeing, like, it won't really matter. Like success becomes different when you're ready for something, because no matter what you do, you just feel accomplished. So it doesn't matter what your numbers are or whatever. It just becomes like, I'm doing this and I love it. And so like whatever happens, I'm super happy about it, which is what you want. Yeah. So we kind of already, what are you gonna say? Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I just love being here.
Well, we love having you here, so thank you for being here. There's so much wisdom in this conversation that I'm getting, so thank you for joining us. It's great. But one of the things that I want to talk to you about, but we kind of already talked about it, but we'll see if there's anything else maybe that we have to say. This might be my last question. But yeah, so we've talked a bit about sort of the importance of, not putting people in boxes, and this idea of trying to sort of, the awesome thing about gaming being that like we all feel that like, that we don't have to be in a box, we can just be, and that's beautiful. And I know that part of like your mission as a content creator is to bring gaming to people and make it like more accessible and make sure that everybody feels included in gaming, which I think is so beautiful and so valuable. Can you talk a little bit more about why you feel that is so important, and sort of maybe some of the ways that you facilitate that? You kind of already touched on that a little bit. So, but if there's anything else you want to say about it.
I think life is just, this is probably just like far too deep an answer, but I think life, and especially this past year, has been it's a lot to take on. Even the most ordinary mundane things about like keeping your fridge stocked with food, like even if you could afford it, so maybe you can't afford the time, or just whatever it is. Like there's so much of life that is just so much. So when it comes to games and play, I want that to be accessible, because I have no idea like what people are going to need from their play experience. Like, and it's important that people just have that healthy kind of outlet, and I want to keep that healthy and really know what that means. So it's just a lot going into it, but I think it's what's really important for me is just honestly, like, I know this is a really popular word, but safety. And that means safe to play, because I think when you're an adult, play is one of the most biggest forms of vulnerability, because we're taught as we grow up that play should be about the points and competition. Look like how we look at sports. We won, our team won, we didn't win, riot. And because we forget, we need to remember how play works, because that is going to help us adapt and grow into so many different experiences if we can approach it with wonder, curiosity, and openness to the experience and not just the outcome. So play should be about like the experience of getting to the end of the game, not the experience of getting the highest score. And so by removing a lot of that pressure, a lot more people are more willing to feel a lot safer, because no one is then going to turn around going like, you're an idiot because you did bad. And I also don't like calling out, like, I may like offer helpful strategies and tips and like, here's another perspective if I see that someone is looking for more to do with their strategy in a Euro game or something like that. I'm like, hey, did you know that you could do this? Don't forget about this rule, things like that. But I stay away from like, that's going to get you more points, because I don't know what their other strategy is. And maybe they're just playing because they really like that resource. There's shiny little bits. Like everyone's playing for such a different reason. It's really important for me that everyone gets to explore the game that way. And so I think that's why just being inclusive, not gatekeeping, not bullying, not taking the hurt and damage that someone did to me and then paying it forward, because I think that's how that works. Just being kind, being respectful, and being supportive of everyone's play experience. And then like also seeing like, I didn't know that you could play and experience and interact with the game this way. And now it's something more for me to appreciate. The more open I am to how other people experience things, the more I find to love about gaming. And I think that's my favorite part. So that's why it's important to be inclusive.
I love that. I love that there's like, it's not just about the community too. Like it's about that, but it's also like there's something that you get out of it too. Like I just think that's so profound and such a good way to look at it, as like we all win when we do this. We all win when we take into account everybody's safety and comfort, and making sure that we're all having fun at the table. That's so lovely. Yeah. That's so lovely. I think I'm going to leave that as my last question because I love that so much. So I'm going to open it up to the chat now, and we'll see if there are any questions there. I see Desiree looking at me. So
there are questions. Indeed. So I know we are almost at the top of the hour. So some of these we could kind of throw them out there as kind of like a speed round, if you'd like.
Yeah.
But the very first question we got when we came on live was, "Who are you wearing?"
I love it.
What am I wearing?
Yeah.
This is, I'm pretty sure, an Old Navy shirt. I am wearing a Issey Miyake perfume and a necklace I accidentally stole from an Airbnb because my kid was playing with it and then ended up in my luggage. So there's that. And lipstick, it's what am I wearing? I think it's just a NYX lip gloss. No, it's a Beauty Bakery lip gloss. That's what this is.
Ooh,
very nice.
Love it.
Let's see. Top 3 narrative video games.
Top 3 narrative video games. For art style, compelling story, but really unhealthy relationships. But man, what variety! I really like Nameless, The One Thing You Must Recall. And same thing goes for Amnesia, Memories, something. It's another like anime otome game. Another narrative story I really, really loved that I played earlier this year is Arcade Spirits. They're coming out the second one. Then I got to demo. That was wild. I absolutely love Arcade Spirits because also I'm a demisexual person. It is written by an ace person. So I really found a lot more value in the kind of relationship dynamics that you got to have. They felt a lot more human, which is really great. Like just as in like open, accepting, healthy, not toxic, not problematic, and like, oh god, I hope no young people or impressionable people are playing this game at all. It's just like I want everyone to play that game.
Yay!
Awesome. So then top 3 narrative board games.
Well, I mean, think like again, Dead of Winter will always have that main one as being my first. I really, really loved Billy Kerr, Holding On, The Life of Billy Kerr. That was really hard. So that is a game I want to play again, but it would have to be, again, like that whole safety thing. We'd have to be very, very okay supporting each other and just saying, I need to stop because this is hard. Or like, can we talk about this really painful, difficult thing that we have to do? But I loved the understanding and empathy that it provided for hospital workers for me. So
I love that game,
one
by
more.
the way.
It's really good.
It's really good. It's really hard.
I'll say another one. It's very hard, but I think again, I think it's a really good experience to have with people that you're already close to.
Yeah,
and that you're
100%.
It's just going to be a deepening of that relationship, because it's like you're going through that thing together. So like if you need a more intimate like moment with somebody like Billy Kerr,
that's the game. Yeah,
and yeah, I think I'll go my third one. We'll say this is a board game, right? We'll go with Someone Has Died. You want to be super silly narratives. That's a great one.
Awesome.
It's a time to be absolute nonsense.
All right. Let's see. Is Monique planning on attending any cons this year, like Gen Con?
In person, I don't see how, considering the actions of the people in charge of, our country, I don't see how that could be too sustainable. I'm keeping an open mind because I don't know what the future is. But I think there would just have to be a lot put into place, and I am as yet undecided, but miracles can happen. I hope it works out no matter what. I know it's a very difficult situation for a lot of people to be in, having to go to physical in-person conventions, but online, baby, I'm there.
Awesome. Let's see. Favorite cookie from Amanda Panda?
Chocolate chip. I am a huge chocolate chip girl. Not too many chocolate chips because I also really like the chocolate chip cookie dough. But if you take out the chocolate chips, it misses a lot of that like milk fat that kind of bleeds into everything else. And so, yeah, chocolate chip.
Very nice.
Chewy.
Nice. I am also a chewy cookie fan. Let's see. 2 things that made you smile today. Oh, that's a nice question.
That question definitely. Oh man, that's hard because I've had such a lovely time today. I would say like streaming with Emma and then the stream today. Like this has been fantastic getting to meet see Desiree for the first time. Like it's
right?
just like the voice in the background.
I am a person.
Fantastic. I love this.
Awesome. Favorite Twitch streamer?
Okay, we'll go with one I don't know, that I watch a lot, and I think this is totally going to count. Bob Ross. The Bob Ross Twitch stream is like, I love that. I watch that one a lot. Like whenever I need, like if I'm just feeling a little off and I need a hug, I'll tap into that Bob Ross Twitch stream because it feels like that time when I was a kid just eating Frosted Flakes and just like, this guy's great. He says I can do anything. I don't want to paint and I already feel good about it.
Awesome. Do you ever try to paint yourself or just for watching and enjoying?
My relationship with art is more therapeutic. It's more of a way that I process and try to work through like it's a meditative thing. So it's not really something, it's never something I want to do for fun, which is hard because I have children. My eldest is an artist. They do miniature painting. They do a lot of sketching and drawing. They have spent the entire year this year learning how to draw on a tablet and doing what animation is what they really want to learn how to do. So there's a constant supply of art supplies, used paper. My notebooks go missing all the time. So I love art and I have a huge appreciation for it, but it's not something I personally do.
Awesome. Let's see. Favorite game to demo for Renegade?
Oh God, so many. I had so much fun doing demoing Warp's Edge and leading that demo. I got to meet so many wonderful people, and gosh, it's just such a good game. I actually have it right here. It's Warp's Edge. I'm going to stream that at some point because I love it so much. Gudetama, every single demo I got to do where I led people through Gudetama was a riot. People, I've never had a demo go online where people come into Tabletopia and by the end of it, they're all laughing and talking with each other. And it's such a great game and it's so phenomenal for that. That's why I'm just you have a bunch of strangers, bust out some Gudetama and they will be talking. Unless they're absolutely terrible, heartless, soulless people.
And then
joking. That's probably not true. But it's still just even the most reticent person at the table would still be leave their mic on to go, huh.
That's awesome.
Oh my goodness.
Let's see. Joe is asking, Monique, what role-playing games do you want to play with me?
Brindlewood Bay. I've Kids on Bikes, Kids on Brooms. I want to play Kids on Anything. I've never gotten to play those games because I can't run games. So I'm just someone invite me. But definitely any of the Kids on Anything's games or Teenagers in Space also looks really good. Brindlewood Bay, which is another favorite. And you know what? I would play any World of Darkness game with Joe. Like, I loved New World of Darkness. I always wanted to play like as the human who's just like, what the crack is going on around here? Because I loved that. I loved that theme. Where it's just like, that old lady's eating some raw beef tongue straight from the bag, and I'm just gonna act like I didn't see a thing. Like, I love those supernatural shows that do that, where you slowly see a little bit of the other world being peeled back. So World of Darkness.
I love that you want to be a human. I've never heard anyone that I talked about World of Darkness. You're the first person I think that has ever said, I just want to be one of the humans living in this crazy world. I love it.
I love that setting for New World of Darkness, and they came out with like the second edition or whatever. Like, their base book was being a human and seeing all this, and then they came out like, you know, werewolves and vampires and like Changeling the Lost, which was so fun. I loved Changeling the Lost, but yeah, no, I always wanted to play the human that was just like, what the crackers is happening? Like, like that is just like what I've always wanted to play. So that's I think why Kids on Brooms and stuff sounds so good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Favorite game mechanism?
Fun. Fun. I don't know how to answer this. Like, I love my worker placement. I love Stefan Feld and Uwe Rosenberg games, but I also I like, and then there's, I don't know, the one that I get to have fun with. Like, I like so many of them. I will say I less like games that feel like personal attacks, but that's usually a style that someone plays rather than anything. Like, Brew can be what they call a mean game, right? That's coming out from Pandasaurus, because your area control, you could burn everything down around another person. It doesn't feel the greatest, but even then, I think, like, usually I would say area control of that nature, but I had a lot of fun playing that one too, so I don't know anymore.
So are you usually fine with like take that, as long as you're playing like a style of game that's like that with people that are not going to take it, like not going to be like vicious, not going to be take that vicious, but more take that like fun and playful?
Yes. I tend to enjoy games where people are more concerned about like, how can I do my best than make sure that you do your worst.
Got it. Yeah. I love that.
Awesome. And I think this is the last question. I almost missed it, but favorite Feld game?
Hooked on a Feld game. Oh man. You know, I really love Trajan, but I have been playing Castles of Tuscany like crazy, and like Castles of Burgundy has been crackers. You know what? I just named like 4 Feld games. Yes, the answer is yes.
Good answer.
I just love Feld. Yes. I'll say my least favorite so far has been Aquasphere. That felt like a fever dream a little bit. Like, I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but it's colorful and pretty for a Feld game.
Awesome. Well, it looks like that is the last one. Let me just double check over on Facebook real quick. Yep, that's it for tonight, it looks like.
All right. Those are all great questions. Fun. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. This has been so much fun.
Heck
wow.
Yeah,
let's do it again. I'm definitely going to check into your anniversary stream. I'll definitely be there. All right. Before we go, remind us who you are, what you do, where we can find both you and your work online. And then we'll say our things.
So my name is Monique. I go by GameFreakGeekGirl. I did not realize that was a tongue twister because I used it for so long before people said it out loud. And then so you can find me here on Twitch as GameFreakGeekGirl, and you can find me on Twitter where I get fewer letters as GameFreakGeek. And I stream Mondays. I do story-driven video games. And Wednesdays, I play board games with myself. And Friday mornings, I play board games with special guests. So I'm really excited about that. I'm also planning on opening up and doing a solo RPG stream once a week. And then I will have some very, very special streams coming up where there will be some cosplay that will be going on. And total, I keep doing this, TLN, which is Total Live Tabletop. I did it. Tabletop Live Network. I want to say Total Request Live every time. And I was like so proud of myself because I remembered TLN, not TLR. And then I said total like 4 times.
It's because you put it in your brain, though. I do that all the time. I'm like, don't say that. And then, of course, that's always what I say. I'm like, oh.
At some point, I'm going to invite Carson Daly to be on my stream just for this reason. But for Total Tabletop Live Network event this month, I'm having Rodney Smith as my guest. And we will be playing the game Similio with chat. And Rodney's going to teach it to us. It's going to be fun.
That's going to be super awesome. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's been so amazing having you on. I'm not going to say goodbye yet because I'm going to do these announcements. Then I'm going to say goodbye. But also thank you. All right. Well, they're the same ones at the top, so you may have heard them already, but I'm going to remind you all again. We do have the game of Victorian Mad Science, which is becoming a little more real every day, that you may have heard of. You've definitely heard of it because it's amazing, and you need to sign up to be notified. It is my father's work, and their Kickstarter goes live in just 2 weeks, friends. So get on there, get notified so you don't miss out. This game looks amazing. The artwork looks amazing. The whole, talking about narrative-based board games, this has that in abundance. So yes.
Yeah. I'm already hoping for a board game cosplay out of this game.
I love it. I'm already so excited to look at the artwork and just see like what are the things that I would want to be. I think board game cosplay needs to be like a whole category of cosplay. We need to make a thing. That's what I think. Yeah.
That was the one thing I think I missed doing most with Girls Game Shelf. So I am doing that again starting next month for my birthday.
Yay! So, yeah. I love it. And we also have Hadrian's Wall, which is a new crunchy flip and write designed by Bobby Hill. And it is amazing. If you like flip and writes, you need to check this out. It is now available for pre-order in the US from Renegade Game Studios. So go on our website, check that out. Like I said earlier, there was a couple copies left, I think, when I was on there earlier. So maybe get on there just in case it's almost gone. I don't know. No promises. But I hope you get a copy if you want one. Also, we have our Twitch schedule. So we do have our More Phenomenal Mondays. We have Vampire Wednesdays. And then, of course, on Friday, we will be back with another Renegade Society radio show for you. Lots of fun guests coming your way. And one more time, that giveaway word is Ghibli. If you want that copy of Gudetama, Desiree will have that link in the chat. So make sure you put that in there. And just do your best on spelling. If you don't know, it's all good. And that is everything from me today, friends. So thank you again so much, Monique, for being here. It has been a delight.
This has been great. I had to do the Gudetama dance because I love it so
much. Oh my goodness. I love that dance.
It's like Thriller eggs. I love it.
It is like Thriller eggs. Oh my goodness. You just have to imagine my foot coming up.
I'm ready.
We have to do a Gudetama cosplay at one point here on Renegade. I don't know, all of us just being an egg. That would be amazing.
I'm already yoked out.
Yeah. Yes. I love it. So as always, friends, get your hands on that copy of Gudetama. And thank you so much, Desiree, as well, for being here and producing and just being fabulous as you always are. And thank you to all of you for watching and for your amazing questions. You're always also brilliant. You astound me every day. Thank you for being here. All right. We'll see you in the next one. And until then, remember to play your game.
Bye.
Bye.